Hello, everyone. It's Monday afternoon today. We're back because last week we couldn't do Ask the Drummer. I was at Shine On Music Festival, which is absolutely amazing. If you happen to, uh, look it up, look it up. And there's one in Skegness in March, and another one in November in Minehead. That's Shine On Music Festival. That's really really good. So do have a look and try to go there. But anyways, happy Mondays to you all. It's just gone 1 minute past 2 o'clock here in the UK, which means it's 1 minute past 10 at night, 10 p.m. in Manila. Welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. Our guest for today is actually quite special because she's almost like a family friend. My Baba is a good friend of hers, and I'm really happy that she said yes to guesting on Ask the Drummer. And she's here now. I think my Baba collaborated with her or something because they do. I think she does music as well sometimes when she's not working. So yeah, I'm glad that she's here and she's ready. So my dear friends, please welcome Mia Eden.
Hello.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello, Mia. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
And I'm fine, thank you very much. Like I said, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you did some collaboration with Adele, though, didn't you? So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Adele is a really, really close friend of mine. We met
yeah,
in uni at Leeds. I'm also from Manchester, so that's coincidental. But yeah, we met in Leeds, and yeah, she loves music as well, so it's a common ground. So we've done
yeah, yeah,
about it, done things together. Yeah.
yeah. She's done some drumming as well.
I've seen. Yeah.
Because I
So
remember.
good.
Yeah, I remember when I went to like a parents' evening, and then the teachers said, "What would you like Adele to be when she's old?" I said, "Well, a drummer."
The right answer. That's the right answer.
Yeah. But then I also said, "Whatever she's happy to do, in the future, I'm quite happy with
Amazing.
that." Yeah. So, welcome to Ask the Drummer.
Thank
Episode
you.
191 is all about you, Mia Eden. That's an amazing name. That's your real name, right? It's not a
Thank
stage.
you. Yeah, that's my real name, and I've got a fun fact behind it as well. My mum's maternal last name is also Eden, so completely different, families and everything. But I am a double Eden, so I feel like I've got like the supreme Eden of the family. I'm both sides an
Yeah,
Eden. Hmm.
yeah. Because when I saw it, I thought it must be a like a stage name or something, like a musician. Because a lot of musicians they do have like
Hmm.
different names when they're on
Hmm.
stage. So, but that is your real name.
That's my real name. Yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned that the Edens are from Manchester.
Yes, yeah, we're from Manchester. We're from kind of more near Salford, Trafford side. So Earlham, in to be really precise. But yeah, generationally as well. I think a lot. My family have lived in Manchester for a long time.
Oh, okay. And what's your Manchester like? Because you must be like the same age as Adele, so probably because Adele was born in Manchester as well, so
Mhm.
probably about in the early 2000s or
Same year, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
2001. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So what was that Manchester like for you?
Oh yeah, it's a good question. I think when you live somewhere, I think often you kind of forget how good it can be, especially to people that didn't grow up there. But the one thing I will always give Manchester, and I think I'm really proud of being there from, is the music side. I think
Definitely, yes.
that it has so many just different artists that have come up from many decades. I mean, it was obviously really big and really highlighted in the 90s when you had all of Oasis and the Stone Roses and the
Oh
Happy
my God, yeah,
Mondays, and there's a
yeah.
lot of music history there, and just in the Northwest in general. And I think that growing up in Manchester, I think that music would have always found itself in my life somehow, with my parents, with the way that I was brought up. But I think just being in Manchester and being able to kind of soak it all in, go to all those live gigs when I was a teenager. I went to a music college in Manchester, and I think those opportunities aren't everywhere. So I think that really helped help me fall in love with music, really.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You're very lucky because that's the reason why I came to Manchester is because of
Mm,
music as well. And
wow.
you mentioned the Stone Roses. It's just really sad that money is gone.
I know
It
that
still
is.
makes me so like well up whenever I think about it. But
Oh, I
yeah,
know.
so are you a Stone Roses fan as well? I
Yeah,
mean,
the Stone Roses. My mum was a big fan of the Stone Roses when she was a teenager. My mum was a teenager, kind of in the 90s, so grew
yeah,
up with a lot of that kind of music, and they were always playing when I was younger a little bit, and yeah, definitely.
yeah. Are you from a musical family?
So nobody in my family is a musician, but all of them are really, really huge music fans. So
Yeah.
my parents in general, and my dad specifically, like music was always on around the house when I was younger. I think it would have been. I think my parents would have been happy for me to be anything, do anything, go in any path. But I think there would have been an inkling of a disappointment if I wasn't a big fan of music. So I think that they've succeeded there. But my parents, yeah, love music. My dad is much more on the kind of rock
Yeah.
side, more indie, the just guitar instruments kind of side of music, and my mum loves it as well. But my mum also has a lot of the kind of like 90s R&B and the kind of early noughties pop as well that I'm a big fan of as well, and
Yeah,
they kind
yeah.
of all come together and yeah, made up my music taste, and even my grandparents, my granddad on my mum's side, who I call my pop, he kind of for a living kind of buys and sells records on eBay, so like collects records,
Oh,
and then sells them on. Like if they're worth quite a lot of money, sometimes you find them in charity shops, and then they go for a bit more on eBay or something. So
yeah.
that is a huge part of my life, just having records on and having music on around the house. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know that. I know that feeling because I also do record fairs, so I know
Oh
some
yeah.
bits about selling records and things. But
Yeah.
well, it's similar with Adele because you start off with your parents'
Mhm.
choice of music. When you're
Yeah.
young. So Adele used to listen to a lot of the '80s music that I grew up
Oh
with.
yeah.
So it was like, but what got you into drumming though? Because none of none of the members of your family are musicians, you said. So was it always the drums, or did you try to learn any other musical instruments?
So this is one question I've been trying to find the answer for my whole life, and I don't know what it was. I think it was just sent from fate, essentially, because I think I was about 8 when I started to learn how to play the drums, 7 or 8, quite
Yeah,
young, and
yeah,
through no push from my parents. It wasn't like, we want you to be a drummer. It was me that asked them if I could learn how to play the drums, and I can also play the guitar and I can play the bass as well, but that came later in my life, so I taught myself that
yeah,
um, out of sheer enjoyment of playing live music. But the drums is my like mother tongue of instruments,
yeah,
and the native instrument. So to answer why, I don't know. Like I said, I think it was just pure fate. I just one day asked my mum, I fancy playing the drums. I don't know if you can maybe get me some lessons. I don't know where it come from. I don't know why. I can't pinpoint at all. I wish I could. But then she managed to. We were really lucky. So my mum went into work one day. She worked at a school
yeah,
at the time, and she was like, "Oh, Mia has mentioned that she, really wants to play drums." And one of her colleagues was like, "Oh, my son plays the drums." And then it was actually her son, so his name was Ben, that ended up teaching me how to play the drums. So,
yeah,
he was like kind of, just for fun. He was around 17 at the time. He was younger as well, and he
yeah.
taught me like a little 7, 8-year-old how to play the drums for probably lessons around 4 to 5 years, and I kind of owe it all to Ben. He wasn't a drum teacher officially, but it was just my mum's friend's son that started and taught me how to read the notation, taught me how to get it on groove, everything. He really started it for me. So yeah, I owe it all to Ben.
It's not Ben Robinson, is it?
It's not.
Oh, okay. Is there someone who plays? So this Ben, is he in a band or he just plays?
I think he is in a band. I don't actually know the name of them. I could probably find it for you later on. I must say I've not spoken to him for a long time, but I have him on some social media, and I see that he still plays the drums around, and I think he's probably in his 30s now, and he was a teenager when I first met him, and I think he's still drumming. He's a great drummer, and if I'm not mistaken, I think his dad was also a musician, so they were a good musical family.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's really good because before we continue, Aiden said that sound and vision very good, and of course Aiden, Adele's dad, I mean he's the tech support of us. So that's really good to know. It's excellent. This would be the perfect question for you then. So, do you believe that drummers are born drummers?
I think it's like anything, an element of nurture and nature. I think that it's I think some people have more of a natural gift for rhythm. Maybe people can pick it up quicker, or they can feel rhythm a bit more at their core. I mean, when I've listened to music in my life, like the first thing I hear and always have is the rhythm, is the bass, even the rhythm section, the drums, rather than like the vocal melody or a guitar or anything like that.
I didn't get that. Oh, could you try again?
Sorry, my Siri just went off then. I don't know what that was.
I
don't know how to triggered it. Sorry, as I was saying, I think that every time I listen to music, I really feel the rhythm much more than I do anything else. And every other instrument I've learned, I've found, even though on paper it kind of says the guitar or the bass might be technically easier to learn than the drums, I've always found that trickier, less intuitive. So to a degree, I think people are natural born drummers, However, I do think that if you practice anything enough, you can do it. Anyone can be a drummer, I think. I just think that some people might have more of a natural gift or rhythm initially when they start,
Yeah. And you've had your lessons with Ben.
Yeah.
I'd love to know who this Ben is, because maybe
I will let you know.
So, what was your first band as soon as you learned how to play drums? And did you form a band straight away, or what was the first one?
Yeah, so my first band basically was a little like YouTube cover band that you will still be able to find on YouTube now. And we were called Tomorrow for Today, but then we rebranded and we were then called Iridescent. And I think it wasn't straight off the bat, because I think I was only young, 7, 8, 9 when I started playing the drums. But
yeah. Well, I mean, the band, were you only 7 when you
no, sorry.
No, okay.
I was just going to say, as I got more into drumming, I think I first joined my band when I was around 14. So it was a group of a really close friend of mine called Yasmin, who is in my current band now as well. And then also a really good friend of ours called Mary, and a friend of ours called Megan as well. And we uploaded little YouTube covers. They're all still on there now, and they actually did quite well. There's a couple thousand, tens of thousands views on some of these covers. And I played the cajon in all of them rather than the actual physical drums. I was desperate to kind of get onto a proper drum set, but we never really made it electric. And we covered a few songs, kind of like very, very at the time quite teenagery pop punk style songs, Paramore, 5 Seconds of Summer, All Time Low, those kind of bands. And bizarrely, one of them must have just hit an algorithm, and it was a 5 Seconds of Summer cover, and it got picked up by BBC One, and they did a 5 Seconds of Summer react to covers on BBC Radio 1, and it was one of our covers. And it was really random because we were all only 14, 15, and just like in Mary's living room kind of jamming out. And we played a few gigs around Manchester, but it didn't last, unfortunately, in the end, because like I say, we were just teenagers, people were out and stuff. But that was actually my first ever band. It lasted 2 years maybe, and we've got still quite a lot of covers on YouTube now. Even now, you can go and watch them.
I mean, I think 5 Seconds of Summer played recently in Manchester.
They did, yeah.
Did you go to that? Did you go to that?
Didn't. I didn't. I went. I've seen them, I think, 3 or 4 times already. I was younger, so I think it was probably around 10 years ago now. I went to see one of their first tours in Manchester, Liverpool as well. I went to, but they're great live performers. But I didn't get the chance to go this time, unfortunately. But yeah, they were here recently.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up, because it must be difficult playing a cajon, because those songs like Paramore and 5 Seconds of Summer, I mean, they all needed the drum, like a proper drum kit, don't they? So just having a cajon, it's like
it was hard. It was hard to translate. If you look up Iridescent Band, then it should come up. But you'll see my interpretations of pop punk and rock songs on a cajon.
Write it down, Iridescent.
I do.
So that was your first band then, and this was with Yasmin, who's the singer now in your current band.
That's right. Yeah, the singer of Blush.
Yeah. So after Iridescent, did you have any other bands before the band that you're in now, or?
A few actually. So after this, I finished school, and then I went to a music college called Access Creative College. It was called Access to Music at the time, and it was right in the centre of Manchester, so just down Oxford Road, kind of near like the McDonald's on Oxford Road, or near St. Peter's Square.
I've not heard of that one. So it's Access to Music, it's called.
Access to Music, I think it's rebranded now as Access Creative College. There was some quite famous alumni, so Ed Sheeran being one of them.
Really? Oh wow!
I think there was a few more, but they have kind of chains around the UK, so they're quite like BIM, similar competitors. So I went there for 2 years, and I studied music performance at Access Creative, and met some really amazing people. It was a big mix of everybody, a lot of guitarists, a lot of bassists, drummers, vocalists, everything you could think of, and basically on the first day, and it was funny, really unusual, because this was kind of the equivalent of A levels for what we were studying, straight out of uni, straight out of school, 16, go to college, and they sit us down in a room, and they just like, what does everyone want to play? What kind of music are you into? Like, what instrument do you play, and what genre do you want to play? And then they basically just assigned us people and bands based on those variables. So I ended up with 2 lovely girls, one called Jade, and a friend of mine now called Fiona. And Jade was on bass and vocals, and Fiona was on guitar, and then I was on drums. And I think it was Currently Nameless, if I remember correctly. And that was more just a college band. We did write a few kind of original songs. We played a few gigs around Manchester, so I'm sure you've heard of like Band on the Wall and
Oh yes, yeah,
yeah, and Underdog, and I think there was it Gorilla as well? I think
yeah.
played a few around there as well with access to music. So that gave us a lot of exposure to play live music, live bands. It was, we were really lucky as to where we ended up studying and being able to be exposed to those kind of venues at 16, 17.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Is that the one? Because I saw the one that I used for the guest announcement post. It's a photograph of you playing the drums in 2018.
Ah,
And
yes.
is that from this nameless band?
It probably was. Yeah, I think it was.
Band.
Yeah. I assume so. That would have been around when we were at college. So Blush formed in Blush. Also, we met Alice via Access to Music as well. So that was formed in that college too, technically. But we weren't. We were a post-college band, kind of off the back of it. So we were formed after that. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about Blush, because Googling the name Blush Band, it's actually it's so easy because you'll get loads of bands with name Blush. There's another one actually who's like an Asian girl group.
I've noticed that. Yeah,
it's a 5-piece Asian girl group, and one of them is actually from the Philippines. So they're all from everywhere. There's Chinese, Indian, and I think one from somewhere in Southeast Asia. But one of them from the Philippines. And I thought when Adele mentioned Blush, so I looked it up, and I thought, is this the one? So, but there's like 5 of them, and then there's Blush from, I don't know, America or Australia. So there are loads. So what? Well, who came up with the word Blush? But I think yours is more stylized. It's all small letters, and then with the punctuation at the end. Like
that's right. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And I think if we're mistaken, so it was named. I think it was Yasmin that might have come up with the name. We were struggling to think of a name that suited us, and we did kind of have a look to see if there were any replicas or anything that was similar at the time, and there was, like I say, it does come up with a fair few different different genres and different artists. But I think when we named it at the time, I think, and I'm assuming so even now, a lot of these groups were inactive for quite a while. And I think that when we came up with the name, and originally we were all like, that's great, we're really set on it. We think it's a good replica of our, a good indication of our band and what we play, and it felt like it suited us. And then when we looked up the replicas, we were a bit like, there are a few here, but we were thinking, well, it looks like it's been inactive for quite a while. We're very clearly not a 5-piece South Asian girl group or Southeast Asian girl group. I feel like we might be able to use it even so. So thankfully no lawsuits as of yet, but
no.
we'll see how we get on when we release our music and get back to that. But I think, originally Yasin was the one that came up with the name, and we've never had any name changes either. We kind of started off as doing a little session group with one of our tutors at Access to Music, actually, that was under a different name, but then that was never officially the band. So we've just been Blush, and hopefully can always be Blush.
Yeah. And when did you form the band?
So I think officially it was 2018, 2019. So
let's see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So me and Yasmin knew each other from beforehand at school, and then we met Alice in college. So she had just recently moved up to Manchester, joined Access to Music, I think, to kind of make a few friends and get better at the guitar. And then she was in a different band at the time, and as was Yasmin, in college. We were all in 3 separate bands in college. And then our tutor asked if we would like to do a little session gig for a fundraiser for charity, and we all got together and did that with him. And then we were like, oh, we really like playing music together. We were already close friends at this time as well. And then Alice sent over a few demos of original songs, and then it spiraled from there, really.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I've got to mention, because Alice Tai is actually a famous person, I do believe.
Yeah.
I found out too when I was Googling that she's a Paralympian, and she's like really well known in the Paralympics. And recently she was also given an OBE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, incredible.
But you all attended the
yes, that's right.
It's amazing. So you all just got together from this Access to Music College.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
right.
Fun. Yeah, but you're a Manchester-based band, because you're in Leeds now, aren't you? But the band itself is from Manchester.
That's right, yeah. So we all actually live in different cities at the minute, which is not the most convenient for getting together to do band-related things. Though thankfully it still manages to work. I mean, like you mentioned, Alice is an incredibly busy woman. She's very, very talented at what she does and trains a lot. And you know, she is she's always away swimming or training, but she lives in London, and then I'm in Leeds. And then Yasmin is still in Manchester. So we're able to get together, fortunately, when we can, usually in London or Manchester, sometimes in Leeds as well, and rehearse or do band related things. And it doesn't make it necessarily easy, but it works. So that's what's the most important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll make it work. Your Facebook page says that blush is actually your favorite shade of pink. That's why it says. How would you describe the genre or the music genre that you play? Is it like pop or favorite shade of pink?
Yeah. Good question. I think I would describe it mostly as just rock music, really. Simple genre kind of. And I think that it has elements of pop and elements of funk and other various genres that we kind of take inspiration from at the time. But the fundamental genre that I think always stands behind every one of the tracks is rock.
Just
ultimately.
rock, yeah.
I would describe ourselves as a rock band, heavy on the guitars, heavy on the drums, the bass. That is what, not heavy as in like heavy rock, but very instrumentally orientated. And I think that we're a rock band ultimately.
Yeah. Well, before I ask you, because I do believe that you're recording an album.
Yes.
That will hopefully be released next year. But before I ask you about that one, you have released a cover version of Grover Washington's "Just the Two of Us," and I listened to it. It was on SoundCloud, or it's on SoundCloud, right?
SoundCloud and YouTube. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's brilliant. I really like that cover. So, what made you choose that? Because that's been released as a single, right? So what made you choose that particular song?
Yeah, good question. So I think so that was quite a while ago, actually. I think it was around 2021, 22, something like that. It was during COVID, essentially, which is it kind of has a little video on YouTube where we've all kind of filmed ourselves in our respective locations, in our homes, and kind of crop them all together. So we kind of made a little music video. And I think that at the time it was a year or two into lockdown, and we were, really missing playing music and being creative. And I think that it was either Yasmin or Alice that just said, I've been listening to these two tracks quite a lot. Probably Alice, I think. I think they would work quite well together. I've made a little arrangement on the guitar, and I think that if you guys could do your bit in your kind of home studio type setups and then send them over, we were able to kind of produce them all together. So it was actually made via like three different houses. Unfortunately, we couldn't all get into the studio together and actually make the track because it was during COVID. And Yasmin, it was very, very DIY, honestly. Like Alice said, probably recorded the guitar into her software bass, and then I'm sure that Yasmin sent over just like a voice note on her phone and put it into the track. And then my drums, even obviously I had no access to a full kit and setup and a studio equipment, so I also like to produce music as well, and I'm able to put the whole drum production setup at home that I was able to actually program the drums in rather than physically play them. Obviously, it's always my preferred style to actually play the drums, but desperate times call for desperate measures.
Desperate measures, yeah.
Had to program them in, and then we just pieced it all together and released that cover just as a bit of a, we're still here during COVID, pretty much, and just a way for us to get more creative as well, whilst we were in lockdown, and really enjoyed doing that style of cover. That was kind of how it came.
Well, I was just thinking, because there's three of you, you could maybe change it to just the three of us or something. Probably we'll get to like someone from Grover Washington's camp saying, "Why did you change the?"
That's wrong.
Yeah, but more recently though, I've seen from your Facebook page, I've seen a video of you covering. This is really funny. It's the middle of the road, chirpa chirpa cheep cheep.
Oh yeah.
The reason why it's really good because the Jesus and Mary Chains, Jim Reed, he talked about it. About chirpa chirpa cheep cheep, because apparently when they got their first record player, like a family record player, they didn't have any records to play,
right?
So he had to ask the neighbors for any record that they've got, and he was given that middle of the road chirpa chirpa cheep cheep. So when I saw that video, I thought, oh my god. I was like, so that one is that just is that gonna be part of the album? Will you be doing a proper recording of that song, or is it just the three of you having a great time?
That was just for fun. So that was actually recorded in the studio. So the video that we put on the social medias, we filmed quite a lot of content whilst we were recording in the studio. So we recorded in Hope Mill Recording Studio in Manchester. We did a kind of 10-day long recording of our album last December. And obviously when recording an album, there's a lot of waiting around that you've got to do as well. You know, you do your bit, you go in, you play the music, but then there's all the comping, there's all of the, you know, production elements, setting up, and we had quite a lot of spare time as well, that we managed to make some content and make some videos for. And what we were actually doing in that one is there's a really old X Factor audition where 3 X Factor contestants sing that song, and that is kind of why we're acting a bit nonchalant or kind of like out of time clapping and stuff. We're imitating that particular X Factor audition. So we were filming primarily just for a bit of content. I don't know if you saw the Horrible Histories rappers.
Oh yeah, I saw that one as well. Yeah. So that's also from the same time you were recording your album.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, what's the latest about the album? Is it nearly finished or?
Oh, good question. So it's fully recorded. So we managed to record 8 tracks over a 10-day period in last December it was, and so fully recorded. I'm very, very happy with the recordings and fully produced now as well, but just going through the mixing stage of the process, and they're hefty tracks. There's a lot of tracking in them. It feels like a Beach Boys Good Vibrations track. 55 different, tracks, not particularly in style, but just in kind of how we decided to record it and layer it. And we wanted to make sure we got it as perfect as we possibly could for our ears and how we wanted to portray it to the world. So very happy with the recordings, but unfortunately we've got a very, very, very talented and it's quite a small team of just friends, really. So obviously us as the band, and then Alice's partner helping with the production and other kind of sessioning on the album, and then our producer, our mixing and sound engineer, Cav, is a friend of ours as well. So it's kind of like a five-piece team running the whole album, but it's really getting there now. Cav is just in the mixing stage, and then it needs the mastering element, and then we're going to do the rollout essentially. So it's very much in the works. I'm really looking forward to it, but the process, especially with just a small group of people that don't do it as a full-time job, it's a lengthy process for sure.
But we're expecting hopefully for it to be released next year sometime.
Yes, that's the aim. Definite. I think that it's if it was up to me, Alice and Yasmin, I think it would be released tomorrow, but it's definitely not ready yet for sure, and we want to present it to the world the best possibly can be, and really taking our time with it. I think that we've released demos before, and there is like one demo on our Spotify at the minute of a track that will be on the album, but this is an old recording, old demo, the newest recording and the newest mix is 10 times more elevated, and I think that we kind of learned from previous recording mistakes or ways of recording as to how we want it to sound now. And I think sitting with different kind of mixes, being able to tell and articulate what we like and don't like to our sound engineers, I think is really helping us in the craft of the album for definitely.
And these are all original material.
Yes, all original.
Mm-hmm. What about gigging? Are you or have you gigged this year, or because I did say I wanted to go and see you perform live, but I believe you're all very busy, like this year. So I didn't hear any of these or like gigs planned or anything. So do you have any plans for next year and hopefully tour the album once it's released?
Yeah, definitely. That is the plan for sure. So gigging wise, we've done a lot of live rehearsals. We've got the songs kind of crafted as to how we want to perform them live, and we've been working on that for quite a long time. I mean, some of these songs, honestly, a song called Hypnotize that we have the demo on Spotify, and a few of the other tracks that we're recording have been in the works for about 7 years, like really old songs. I know that were written when we were teenagers practically, and early 20s, and now in our mid 20s, and it's like we can't wait to get them out into the world, but we feel like we know them in our sleep now as well, which is good in a way, because then when we do start playing and when we do start gigging, we're able to perform these songs confidently, and that is what we want to show to the audience. But that is definitely the plan. I think there's nothing I love more than just playing the drums, live music, playing the drums, and unfortunately I don't get to do so much gigging as a drummer. Unfortunately, I gig around sometimes as a DJ, but as a drummer is harder for me to do. So the plan is definitely album rollout, and then to kind of throw a bit of an album release gig, somewhere in Leeds, maybe Manchester. Throw a big release party, let everybody know about that, and then hopefully tour the album. I mean, that would be amazing. I'd really like
I bet you can't wait to just have that album, like a physical copy, either a CD or a vinyl copy of it, and
Absolutely.
then and then tour it as well. So good luck. Hopefully we'll see you live next year.
You
But you
definitely
have,
will, yeah.
yeah, but you have mentioned your DJ thing, so that's another thing you do. You're a DJ,
Yeah.
and so what sort of music do you play when you DJ, and whereabouts do you do it? Is it Leeds and Manchester? And
Primarily Leeds, yeah. So I do also I just live and breathe music. I think that it's like the number one most important thing in my life. So if I don't have one project going on the drums, for example, then I need something else musical in
yeah,
my life to keep me going. And often with drums, you know, I suppose you could always set up in Manchester Piccadilly Gardens with a drum kit and start busking, but it's much more difficult to um, be a solo drummer. You know, you need a band, you need people behind you. So oftentimes gigging relies on other people if I'm on the drums, and you know, sometimes it doesn't always work out. So I kind of need a bit of a musical release for myself that I think I can just do on my own terms. And I kind of found that a bit through music production and DJing. And
yeah,
I've primarily DJ around Leeds. So I've done venues such as Wharf Chambers, and then Brudenell Social Club as well. That a few,
oh wow,
yeah, a few of like some of my favourite bands. So like Haim have played there in their early days, for example, and
yeah, yeah,
you know, other bands I'm a real fan of have played in Brudenell, and also in there's kind of like a food court, a newer food court in Leeds called White Cloth that had their first anniversary party in August that I managed to DJ for as well, and have an upcoming one in January at a venue called The Attic. So just little independents, little indies around
yeah,
Leeds
yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm able to kind of DJ, and I DJ all sorts really. I think a part of being it is to really try and kind of cater to the audience at hand as well. And I think that sometimes that means maybe playing a few tunes that you might not put on yourself, but you've got to put the pride aside and you know, just play what's relevant and what's right for the room at the
Yeah.
time. And I kind of
Well,
sorry.
yeah. Do you take requests from from people?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, definitely. And I think I first kind of got into the DJ and dance music side because I go to a Primavera music festival in
Yeah,
Barcelona every
yeah,
year.
yeah. Oh
Um,
wow.
so I think the first year I went with my friend was 2022, and then we've kind of just gone consecutively every year. And I was always much more of a kind of rock, even pop, funky, you know, more instrumental type of person in my music taste. But then I go to this dance festival and I'm like, wow, like this is great. There's so much more music here to be consumed from a genre that I've not really dabbled into much. And then I discovered kind of more of like the disco house type of music and the, you know, techno and electronic, and then I'll dabble in that in DJing as well.
And do you have a DJ name, or is
I
that
actually
yeah?
Sorry, I actually don't have a DJ name necessarily. I usually just use Mia Eden, but I do have a producer name. So the production, I make kind of like instrumental, like lo-fi type of music on Spotify, and that is under a name called Rosia because my middle name is Rose. So it's essentially just my middle name and my first name combined and flipped. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know about Rosia as well. Yeah.
yeah. That's the one that I saw on I think SoundCloud. It's Rosea,
It
and
also on
yeah,
SoundCloud. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. I was wondering whether that's your DJ name. So you're using it as a producer name,
Yes.
that Rosea.
Hmm.
Oh, that's really good. Well, good luck on that, because Joe Ian Brody of Lightning Seeds.
Yes.
He's produced a lot of music in the
Mhm.
past, and he's also had, because he wasn't confident to use his real name, so he had another name like Kingbird, I think he was called
Oh
at the
yeah.
time. Until he's confident enough to use his real name
Mhm.
as producer. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice to have this Rosia one. So yeah, and
absolutely.
Can I ask you as well about? Before I forgot, the Brudenell is an amazing venue. I love that.
Amazing.
I love that place.
Hmm.
And Adele used to live just nearby.
Yeah, yeah.
So every time there's a gig at Brudenell that I wanted to go to, I could just stay with her. But now that she's
Yeah.
gone, she's
Oh,
not. But
I,
yeah. So
definitely, I love Brudenell. It's an amazing venue. Really, really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. That's really good, and they do put a lot of amazing shows at Brudenell as
Hmm.
well. So, um, there's one that I found when googling that it's called Tiny Embers. Is that your production company or is it
Um,
somebody else's
yeah,
production?
so that is a friend of mine's company. The friend that I go to Primavera with every year. His name is Leon. Um, he has his own little kind of gaming company that also dabbles in music, and I run a lot of the music side of things. So it's primarily instrumental music that I do kind of use under my Rosia tag name, but essentially I put together kind of little compilations on YouTube of like different various artists, including mine, lo-fi music, and
Yeah.
it's under a little YouTube account called Lo-Fi Louie, because my friend Leon's rabbit is called Louie, and the styling of the YouTube channel is essentially like a kind of like a cartoon rabbit that's like sitting and chilling, and then it's just like various instrumental music kind of over it that people can use for when they're doing work, or if they're studying, or if they just want to chill out, or even in like the back of cafes, a lot of ambient music and stuff. So I through that company kind of use it and then help to then commission like real artists that kind of create the art for us, and
Yeah.
and we're able to kind of pay indie artists and indie musicians the money to kind of like feature on the compilations. And I made a little what's it, like what's the sorry, what's the word, like original album of Lo-Fi Louie, where 10 artists did some instrumental tracks for Tiny Embers, and then we put them onto Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube and Tidal under Tiny Embers. So that's where that kind of ties in with the music element.
Yeah, yeah. And are these also being used for gaming, or is it a separate one? So Tiny Ember's got a separate thing for the gaming industry, and then a separate one for the music industry, or are they sort of like together?
So it's kind of intertwined, but separate technically. It's only kind of a little business, and Leon will run the game inside of it. So I don't really have
See, yeah,
involvement in that, and then the music side I will take part in. But lo-fi and gaming have like a really really huge overlap in that sense, because I've worked with other kind of instrumental music labels, one called Homework Radio, for example, that has made like a gaming soundtrack and been featured on games. So a lot of the kind of instrumental ambient music does
yeah.
have that in the games as well. Yeah,
Yeah, because the reason why I asked, because with Adele being a games
the
art,
gamer.
maybe that's why the collaborations are like got into the games and the
Yeah,
music as well.
Adele has made some art for Tiny Embers before. Yeah, which
Oh, really?
she has.
Oh, that's
Great.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that's your role as a producer. So so you've got being a drummer in a band in Blush, and then you're also DJ, but using your own name, Mia
Yeah,
Eden, and you produce using Rosea.
yeah.
That's awesome. So you must be really busy then.
It's like I said, it's kind of the forefront of my life. Music is like the most important thing to me, I think, ever, and I think I need those kind of outlets to keep me going. Really, just when the things with Blush are kind of on the back burner and out of my hands at the minute. So a
Yeah.
lot of things in the production elements, I unfortunately can't speed up the process, and we want to get it as right as possible. But then that kind of gives me an outlet to go and make my own music and work on a few EPs or DJ around, and I think drumming always, if I could, if somebody said give everything up and keep drumming, or vice versa, I think I would give everything else up and keep drumming. But it's a nice way to kind of keep creative, for definite.
Yeah. Well, when was the last time that you played drums on stage, or last time you gigged?
Yeah, good question, actually. I have to have a think about it. I think probably quite a while ago, honestly. I think the last time I did a really full period of just intense drumming, and really honing in on that was probably when we were recording the album. But just to keep my drumming up and just to make sure, I'm always playing, I kind of tend to just book out studios, like private studios nearby, and just on my own, just kind of put my headphones on, play along to songs, just make sure that I'm always keeping it up and being able to drum. And I've managed to kind of have a few jam sessions with a few of my friends as well during the summer. So I did 2 or 3 kind of jam sessions where I was just playing for fun, really, just keeping it up, enjoying playing live music. But on a stage, honestly, probably, I can't even give you a date. I honestly don't know. I can't wait to actually just start drumming live again.
Yeah. Do you still go to gigs? I mean, do you go to log? I know you said that you go to Primavera for the music festival, but do you go like to local gigs or going to Manchester and other parts of the UK to see bands?
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of my favorite things to do. I love live music, and I really unfortunately had to miss 2 gigs last week because I was unwell, which was devastating.
Oh no!
No, I was gutted about that. But previously, even in the last
sorry, who did you miss?
Who did I miss? I miss Lord. Who does like royals? From New Zealand. Yeah, she was performing in London, and I missed her, unfortunately. And I missed the boy group JLS as well. They were doing a reunion. I love my pop music too, and I had to miss that. I know, I was gutted, but recently, even so, I've still managed to make it to a lot of gigs in the past few weeks. So the most recent, I did see, I mentioned them before, but I saw Haim recently at the Co-op Live. They were amazing. I've seen who else did I see? I've seen people. I've seen the Last Dinner Party in Liverpool recently as well. They did kind of an intimate Rough Trade gig for their new record, which I absolutely love that new record. And I managed to get a ticket in Liverpool, and then I found out my dad was going to the exact same gig, and we didn't book the tickets together or anything. We just found out on the same week that we were both going, so I managed to see him there as well in Liverpool. And I went to see. Yeah, I've seen the Last Dinner Party, I think, around 3 or 4 times now, so quite a big fan of seeing them live. And I also recently went to see a gig at a pub nearby in Leeds, just a local gig, a pub called the Cardigan Arms, that put together a lot of live music, often quite a lot of live folk music and jazz music, a lot of open mic style gigs. And I managed to see my friend, her name is Gemma Gates. I previously played the bass in her band sessioning for a little bit, so I managed to get some gigs on bass, but not on drums a year ago.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of live music around Leeds, and she is amazing, such a good live performer. And then a few other acts that were on alongside her as well, like Alice Kim, for example, who's amazing. I would check her out also if you haven't heard of her. And I love live gigs. Local ones especially. I think if you can get down to them, then you really should.
Yeah. Well, when you go to gigs, and do you look at the drummer, or do you
I look at the drummer with envy because I want to be them. I'm on a I'm always saying I'm always on a mission to become the last dinner party session drummer. I apologise to whoever it is now, but I don't want to steal that gig. But if they happen to have an opening, then I would love to take it, because there doesn't seem like a more appealing job to me in the world than just going around touring on drums. I have so much joy for watching the drummers whenever I go and see a live gig, but also so much envy, because I'm like, gosh, I want to be them. I want to be on that stage, and I can never not look at the drums, can never not hear the drums if I'm listening to a new track or an album, or if I'm just watching a live performance. I think that is always the first initial point that catches my eye. Yeah.
Well, you never know, because in theater they have like understudy and stuff.
Exactly.
So you might get a call from their camp, from the last day party camp, saying,
exactly. Yeah. You never know. You never know.
Yeah. And because you're a fan already, so you know their songs.
Exactly, exactly. I know I could, if I could get up on there, if they need me immediately, I'm there.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, well, it's nearly an hour now, but I've got 4 more questions I wanted to ask you. These are the questions I regularly ask our guests. So, first one is, do you twirl when you play drums, like
you mean like the kind of like that? Yeah, with a pen. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're not a drummer, and sorry, if you are a drummer and you aren't twirling your sticks, then I think you need to. I think it's a rite of passage as a drummer that you can pull that trick off. I think live, if I'm at a live gig, playing live, sometimes I'm a little bit if I should do it or not, because I'm like, well, I've not got any spare sticks on me at the minute in this kind of local live gig. The equipment isn't, quite as put together maybe as if I was playing the Co-op live or something. So I don't want to fling a stick across the room and then have to play with one for the rest of the gig. So I kind of refrain from being a bit too cocky then. But if I'm just jamming, if I'm playing with my band and I'm rehearsing, then definitely.
You can do it, and you know how to do it. Yeah, because I have seen recently, well, last night actually, when I went to see Kula Shaker in Liverpool at the Cavern Club. I don't know what happened. There, but the drummer, so one of the sticks came flying. Mm-hmm. So he picked another one from just right in front of him, and it went flying again. And so he had to pick another one. It was like, what's going on there?
You always need spares, even if they break. Sometimes you get too into it and then the stick breaks and you can't. You're like, oh no, I need another stick. You always need spares.
Yeah, I have seen drummers with like a foldable thing, and it's got maybe 5 or 6 or maybe more sticks on that, and now I know the reason why, because you can't just have one spare.
Yeah,
it was like
yeah, they can go flying for sure. You definitely need to be prepared.
Yeah. The second question I wanted to ask you is drumming heroes. Do you have any drumming heroes?
Oh yeah, a few. Honestly, I think some of the absolute classics. I think the number one I would probably always give is Ginger Baker. I just think that is an incredible drummer. I think oftentimes as well, I find drummers online on YouTube, on social media, that I just think are incredible to follow, and I take a lot of inspiration off some of their grooves and kind of how they play, and I think one drumming inspo that I would give that I think is an incredibly underrated drummer and just musician in general is I've mentioned him a few times now. I'm definitely in a kind of Haim era at the minute, but Daniel Haim, who's the lead singer of Haim, also plays the drums on all of their tracks on on the record, and I think like it's not as well known because she doesn't present herself as a drummer. For example, she's usually much more on the guitar and vocals, but during the gig she spent a few songs on the drums as well, and I just thought insanely underrated drummer, and has a groove of somebody I feel like plays the drums with a much different technique and style and flow as to how I would interpret a song. And I think that when you get a drummer like that, and you get a drummer that's creative with their fills, or playing in technically how you might not play, it kind of helped me expand onto my drum grooves and how I was playing, and then try and interpret that kind of style into some of the tracks that we were working on with Blush as well. And I think that is somebody that I would give a big hats off to inspiration in terms of how I kind of now put together my grooves, because it's an underrated one. And like I say, not many people know that she drums, but I think that
I don't know that.
I think that when she does, there's a track that I would recommend off their latest album called Blood on the Street, which has she's on the drums on it. Great drum groove, something I probably would have never thought of. The hook of the song, you know, and I think that really kind of helped me expand my mind on ways to drum, and I think finally as well, this is a very you know, it's simple but it's effective. I think some of the drum grooves on Beatles albums and Beatles records via Ringo Starr is just like some of the tracks that made drumming what it is today, I think, and just made music what it is today. And I think even, you know, if McCartney wrote some of the drum grooves, I think if the way that Ringo Starr executed it, especially by being a left-hand drummer, and the way that kind of set up influence some of the tracks that come together, where the drum groove is the hook of the song, you know. I think that a lot of that came from that left-hand drumming style and how to navigate and work around the kit with that. And I think that, once again, just kind of inspiration like that, where I would take grooves from artists and drummers that I would never usually think of myself, has really expanded my way of drumming in general. So I would, at the current minute, probably give those three as big drums.
Are you a right-handed or left-handed drummer?
I'm a right-handed drummer.
Right-handed drummer.
Yeah. So play the kit kind of as most do, but I think that playing left-handed is not easy, especially if you're open-handing grooves. And some of the Beatles tracks I've kind of come together, for example, or some of the ones on the White Album, for example, where I've kind of noticed that my drumming style as a right-hand drummer has had to have been like worked around to play these songs accurately. And I think that does have an element of you know, Ringo's feel on
style and feel,
emulate. And I think that other musicians like Dave Grohl have mentioned that before, that Ringo is an underrated but, you know, very talented.
What do you think about the ratio between female drummers and male drummers? Because I think now there are more and more female drummers. When I started doing Ask the Drummer, I said to Adele that I don't really want to differentiate, you know, between, because drummers are drummers. It's not really a male drummer or female drummers, but I mean, you've got to sort of like see it as well, that the ratio is still not like, you know, 1-to-1. I mean, there's still a lot more male drummers than female drummers. Is it difficult for, like, you know, girls or female drummers to be in the music industry, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think that honestly, it's difficult for women or marginalized genders to be in any field that is primarily male dominated and you know, be taken seriously and excel in that particular field. So I definitely think that there is it is hard for female drummers to kind of make a name for themselves, be able to get involved in gigs, be able to get session session gigging and just be able to start drumming in general. And I think that is kind of where it really starts at its core is, luckily, touch wood, in the span of my kind of music career and life, I haven't really had any issues being a female drummer per se, in the sense that I've never had any ridicule or nobody's, not been very kind to me for that reason.
Yeah.
But that is one singular personal experience that I can't say happens to other female drummers, and I'm sure that people really are ridiculed for that and aren't taken as seriously for that as well. And I think that the only reason that hasn't happened to me personally is because I've been surrounded by and played with a lot of female musicians, and I think even in college, when we went to Access to Music, there were a lot of male drummers in our college, but there were also quite a fair few female drummers as well. So the ratio felt nice. It felt like it wasn't just me that was, on my own as a female drummer, and you could kind of help other people and other women navigate through the music industry just together. So I've always had a good support system around me, and I've always had a family that have been very supportive of maybe a more male-dominated hobby or industry, but that is where I actually think it starts at its core is even just wanting to start drumming. I think that maybe a lot of young girls are put off because they think that it might only be a male hobby, or they think it might only be an instrument for men. And then I think, a lot of those social narratives are then put on to children, and parents might say, oh, that's not for girls, or, it might just be kind of brushed aside. So then young girls can never actually get the opportunity to drum in general. But and that's where I think it really starts at its core fundamentally, is just making sure that women have those spaces and that opportunity, and young girls have that opportunity to be able to play instruments and play whatever instrument they want without any ridicule. And I think that has gotten so much better now. I mean, I grew up in like the 2000s and the 2010s, and I think it had already made a lot of progression by then anyway. So I was able to start playing the drums, and I felt like it wasn't met with much ridicule. But I think that for a lot of female drummers that came before me, maybe even 10 years before, it was a very, very different story. And I hope it's even a more different story and a better journey for female drummers now. And young girls now, where it's, not even a question as to if they are a girl drummer or a male drummer. Because I do remember when I was at school, for definite, that was highlighted. It was like, oh, there's a female drummer in this class, or oh, there's a girl that plays the drums in this class. And it's not like just, oh, there's a drummer in this class. It was still differentiated between, and I'm hoping now that's not the case. But then on the other hand, I do advocate for spaces that do help women thrive in the music industry, or help marginalized genders thrive in the music industry. And I think kind of holding those spaces and making that differentiation, but talking about it positively and
that's right,
with support and encouragement is also very important as well. So I think it always has been, it presently is, and unfortunately for a long time probably always will be harder for women in music industries than it is for men. But I think the support is definitely more there now, and I think
it's there now. I think that's brilliant. I actually look forward to whenever I see a female. Well, I don't really want to see a female drummer, but every time I go to a gig, I was like, oh my god, because I saw one like this was a few months ago, and I just thought I could have been that drummer. If I had practiced more, if I didn't think too much about looking cool and things like, I could have been her.
Exactly. And I think that's why, it's so important that women and just other marginalized genders are told, like, it's cool to drum, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, it's cool to drum. And I think
Well,
it's definitely better for sure.
yeah. Well, I've still got to. I haven't asked you this yet. Have you ever had? I know you haven't played live for a while, but have you ever had any accidents or drumming disasters, as I call it,
Ooh,
playing drums?
okay. Yeah, actually. So not for a long time, and fortunately not for a gig that was really high stakes or anything, nothing in kind of
Yeah,
Manchester or that I was graded on in any way. But I do remember when I was at school, we used to do kind of like quarterly performance evaluation kind of things, and an audience could come, parents could come, or other
yeah,
teachers and other students. It was after school, and I remember so the first song that I ever like properly learned on the drums, I did a lot of kind of rudiments for a long time, and then my drum teacher really drilled that into me for a few years, no songs, just rudiments for a long time. So I probably learned a song honestly 3 or 4 years into drumming, and it was Misery Business by Paramore. So that was the first kind of song I ever learned, and I performed that at this monthly evaluation or quarterly evaluation at school. And they set the drum kit up in the kind of auditorium of the school, and the kick drum wasn't on like a mat or anything, and the floor was very slidey. So every time I kick, hit the kick drum, which is like all the time in the drums, it would slide a tiny bit further away from me, and I'm only probably 5'2", 5'3", so I've not got long legs in general. So the more and more it was moving forward, the more I could not reach it. And you can't play the drums without a kick drum.
yeah.
It's impossible. And it was sliding more and more in front. And fortunately, my music teacher did it clock that it was doing that and was able to kind of push it back every so often. But I think she had to do it about 3 or 4 times during a 3-minute long song. So that didn't go to plan particularly, but there was some good damage control. I don't think that it affected the song in any way. But I've also had it where, I've played in just school auditoriums, or like, tiny small venues where you can barely hear the backing track and there's no in-ears, or there's nothing like that. You're just hearing it from the PA that's coming out of the school system, and I can barely hear the track, and I've got to sing it and keep my metronome in my head up as well as possible to not sound out of time when I can't hear the backing track. So just stuff like that, really, technical errors and mechanical errors and stuff. But fortunately, nothing too high stakes.
Nothing painful that like no blood or anything.
No.
No. Well, the first time I saw a running like bass drum, I was at a gig. It's just in a room, and I could see it moving away from. And then it's like every time the drummer will just have to, pull it back to him. And I was like, oh my god.
It's not easy. There's a lot of components to the drums.
I think with me, it's because when I go to a gig or when I see a band, I always try and make sure that I can see the drummer, because I just love the way like they move everything, like the hands, the arms, and the legs and the things.
Yeah.
And there was one time that I saw a drummer with the bass drum that's dancing. It's because it's uneven. So it was like, I was thinking, is that supposed to be like that? So
oh yeah, live music has its faults for sure. I think that's the beauty of it in a way. It's sometimes quite enduring, when you go to a live gig, especially a live gig with such a high budget. It's a famous act, or it's in a huge venue, and the odd thing, 1 or 2 things might go wrong. It kind of makes it feel a bit more human sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
That is just the art of live performance.
Yeah. Well, I've got your final question now for you, and then I'll let you go. So, what would be your advice to aspiring drummers? I know you're very young yourself, but but you've had years of playing the drums and you're a DJ producer. So what would be your advice to aspiring drummers or someone who's trying to get into the music industry?
Yeah, great question. I think I think the main one is just like, no matter kind of like your age, no matter your gender, no matter anything, just do it. Just play the drums. You know, I think that there's a lot of things that might hold people back if they want to start drumming, and you know, they either might think that, say, if they're not children anymore, they might think that they can't learn now, or they might think that they won't be good enough to do it, or they just don't have a knack for it. And like I said before, you know, sure, there might be people that naturally pick up rhythm better, but anybody can play the drums, and you can always learn how to do something if you put the hours in to do it. And I think that if anything like that is getting in the way, then I think, you know, it just shouldn't. There's always going to be a support system around you that will encourage you to play the drums. There's always going to be like-minded people that you know, have similar life experiences and similar paths to you, that are interested in the same fields, and you're going to be able to find those like-minded people that encourage it. And I think that no matter what's getting in the way, if you really sit there and think, or if you listen to the drums and you go, I really wish I could do that, then you can do it if you do it.
I wonder if I can do it. I suppose I could.
Everybody can play the drums. I truly believe it. And I think that it's such a great outlet for anything. You know, it's not only, you know, so much fun to play the drums, it's definitely the funnest instrument ever. It's also just so cool to play them as well. It's the coolest instrument ever, you know. And like, I think that the drums is just one of those instruments that you can just make yours. Like, it's so creative. You know, you can always interpret a song differently. You're not held back by keys like you are with string instruments. You know, you're not held back by other variables. With the drums, you can just make a song your own. You can interpret a groove however you want to interpret it. You can listen to a track and say, I don't know if I'll play it like that, I'm going to switch it up. And, you know, it makes a song entirely different. It makes an entire track. And I think that if you want the power to do that in music, then that's your instrument. You know, you can truly make it yours. And I think that anybody kind of just trying to get into the industry in general, I think it's hard. It's a lot of perseverance. It's not an easy industry to try and break into, and not an easy industry to kind of immediately make all your dreams come true in. But you know, there's ways, and there's people that will help you, and there's people that will support you. And I think that there's always like other ways to play music and do music and have music as a main career and hobby, even if you're not, you know, one of the 1% make it, you know, signed to the major labels. You know, you can always still make music your main hobby, your main passion, your main career, even if you are just playing indie gigs or playing local or just playing with friends. It can still be a huge part of your life. So I think don't be disheartened as well by, you know, not immediately being signed to a major or not immediately, you know, being picked up. You know, things can be navigated around, and you can always find a way to play music at whatever scale. And I think that's more important than just not playing it at all, you know.
Yeah, it's got to have the passion there, your love for it, what you do and things. Because I think now with the internet, it's quite easy to get your material out there anyway. So
absolutely, and it's so easy, you know, like it's the easiest it's ever been, I think, to learn an instrument, because I always do advocate, if you can, for lessons and for somebody, you know, teaching you and working on your technical elements of instruments and being able to read notation stuff, but you don't need to do it. You know, it's not an absolute fundamental. It's a nice to have, and some people don't always have the privilege of being able to afford lessons.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
people around them that, you know, might encourage to do that, or there might just not be any lessons available. And I think that as long as you've got access to the internet in some way, you are able to look up tutorials, you're able to look up videos in general, and kind of teach yourself to a degree. And I think that it obviously always helps to have a kit, but you can even buy one of the little practice pads, practice your rudiments. There's always a way to kind of get started. And I think that if you've not taken advantage of how easy it is to do now, and it's never been this easy before, then you should.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's brilliant. I really enjoyed chatting to you, Mia. I'm glad that I just love talking about music and drumming. Even though I'm not a drummer myself, I just love drummer stories and things like that. How you started and everything. So good luck with the album.
Thank you so much.
And I really hope that I'll get to see you and the band play live next year. So thank you so much, and take care. And hopefully, I'll get to meet you someday.
You will. Definitely. Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, have an awesome week, because it's Monday today. So, see you guys. See you soon. Not again, but see you hopefully.
We will do. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mia. Bye. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Oh my God, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. It was thank you so much to Mia. And I've got to say thank you to my Baba, Adele. She's in a meeting, so she couldn't join us live. But thanks to her that I got to meet, not in the real world, but I got to know of Mia Eden and Blush. And they do have a Facebook page, and I think they're all on all social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter, but they have a Facebook page called Blush, and I think it's all small letters with an exclamation point. So do follow them, so you'll get up to date about their album, which hopefully will be released next year, and if they're doing any gigs as well. So thanks again, Mia. But before I go, I just want to say a few things as well, because we mentioned Manny earlier, and it's really sad that he's gone. I still can't believe that he's gone. But it's Kula Shaker, actually. I went to see them last night, and they've dedicated one of their songs to Manny, and it was a bit emotional because everybody, I've seen like all these tributes on social media. It seems like he's one of those musicians that everybody loved, not just by the musicians, but like all the fans and everything. So rest in peace. I mean, I've mentioned that he was one of those one of the 4 men in the Stone Roses who sort of like helped me or saved me from going insane when I was in the Middle East. So thank you so much, and I love you, Manny. I don't want to cry, but rest in peace, my monk savior. Anyway, so I'm gonna leave on a happy note though. It's Mick Had's birthday today, so Mick. I'm gonna say Shaq are doing a winter tour. They're starting on the 5th of December in London, Shepherd's Bush Empire. That's on the 5th of December, and then they're gonna be doing like a 6-date tour starting in Bristol on the 10th, and then Leeds on the 11th, and then Liverpool on the 12th, and then 14th is Sheffield, 15th Birmingham, and then finally on the 16th of December they'll be in La Belle Anglaise, I think it's called, in Edinburgh. So do check it out. So there's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well to find out more about the tour and the ticket information, ticket sales. I do believe that I think a couple of them are already sold out. I'm sure that, well, one of them, like in Leeds, that's sold out already. Budnell, as I've mentioned to me, is one of my most favorite live music venue. So Shaka playing there. Unfortunately, if you didn't get a ticket, that's gone. But all the other venues, all the other cities, I think they still have tickets left, so do get one. And so that's it for me. yeah, so happy birthday, Mick again, I love you, Mick. He's one of the best, greatest songwriter here in the UK or in the world as well. So, anyways, that's it for me from now. So, as always, love music, love life, love drummers. We've seen Mia Eden. Do check them out. Blush, the name of the band, and hope to see them doing gigs next year. And I'll be back again on Sunday, fingers crossed. And it's going to be a late one because I've got a record fair to go to in Leeds on Sunday morning before doing the Astro Drummer. So do keep an eye out for the guest announcement post on the Astro Drummer Facebook page. But that's it. Have a wonderful week. It's a brand new week, so have a wonderful one. And see you all again on Sunday evening. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.